Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun from Zoobox again with another movie review, and another day, another movie review. I like doing these things. It's kind of like a small reprieve from the fact that the world is literally on fire around us, and I hope it offers you something like that in these dark times. It's a weird thing, to reflexively kind of just want to run away from it all, and I don't know. Movies give me a little bit of respite. A little bit. Obviously, when the movie's over, you go back to the world. It still sucks. It's still pretty shitty. But, these little things, a little break from it not going to hurt. It's probably good for your old noggin. It's good for your mental health. Kind of focus on something else for even if it's just a couple hours. But today we're going to be talking about John Boorman's 1967 classic Point Blank. Yes. It's written by Alexander Jacobs and David Newhouse. Stars Lee Marvin, Angie Dickinson, Keenan Wynn, John Vernon, Michael Strong, Lloyd Bachner, Carol O'Connor, and a whole slew of other people. Sharon Acker is in this movie as well. Whole slew of other people. Just some great character actors kind of from the era. The hard men, the IMDb plot synopsis. Let's see what they got to say, because I love how they undersell their movies. After being double-crossed and left for dead, a mysterious man named Walker single-mindedly tries to retrieve the money that was stolen from him. There you go. It's actually a pretty fair representation of what the movie is. Even though it's like the most simplified version, this is a pretty simplistic movie. It's got a lot of cool things. This is John Boorman's kind of his second theatrical movie, and it was the thing that kind of broke him through. And his direction is probably the thing that makes it the most interesting, other than just the enjoyment of seeing like kind of these character actors. I'm just a sucker for these kind of very specific types of people that do very specific types of roles, and this movie is full of that stuff. Lee Marvin obviously included, especially what's his name, John Vernon. John Vernon plays a great heel. He, after movies like this, he kind of was like the bad guy in a lot of exploitation movies. In fact, he was in the kind of king of all exploitation movie spoofs. Not Black Dynamite. No, it's the Wayans Brothers movie, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. He plays Mr. Big. That was kind of his deal, and he plays like kind of a great kind of sleazy heel in this movie. Lee Marvin is incredible as in the lead role. Very stoic. Like it says in the description, very single-minded. Nothing will deter him from his revenge, from getting his money. And he gets kind of embroiled in a little bit of a larger plot. It's pretty straightforward, though. There isn't too much depth and things like that. But like I said, I think the person that elevates the material is actually John Boorman. And I've spoken about John Boorman before on here a few times. I've mentioned his name because the older I've gotten, the more I've realized how many movies John Boorman directed that I actually really love. Just to name a few is, Excalibur, Zardoz, Hell in the Pacific, which is a follow-up he did with Lee Marvin right after this movie. It was the movie they made the year following, which is a movie I'd love to talk about sometime because it's really great. The Emerald Forest. He even directed Exorcist 2, everybody's favorite Exorcist movie. But even with that, in defense of Exorcist 2, not that it's a great movie or anything, it tries to do something different with it. It's not trying to repeat itself. So I'll give it credit for that. I mean, he's kind of a working director, and he's worked up until 2014. He's still alive. And a lot of times, a lot of the reissues of the movies he's done, like the Blu-rays, like he's on the commentary. This actually, I really want to check out the commentary for this because it's got Steven Soderbergh kind of leading the discussion with John Boorman, and I bet you that's awesome. Because whether or not I love Soderbergh movies, he's a film fan, and I'm assuming he's a big fan of this, which would make sense if you've seen something like The Limey, his incredibly compromised revenge thriller with Terrence Stamp. That is one of the greatest all-time audio commentaries, actually, just as a tangent, because Soderbergh makes no buts about the fact that it was a troubled production and a troubled post-production, and he just kind of lets loose. It's like another commentary that's like that is when they re-released Mimic, Guillermo del Toro's Mimic. in his audio commentary and his introduction, he's like just angry because he had so much interference from the Weinsteins. But that's a tale for another time. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Point Blank. Yeah, so John Boorman's direction in the movie is really, really strong. It's got a really unique sense of itself. It feels unique. And he could have just kind of done it more straightforward, but he actually layers the movie with kind of a psychological component for the main character played by Lee Marvin, Walker. It does this weird, like, there are moments in the movie that are kind of nightmarish and surreal, especially in the first act, where it almost like works like on some kind of dream logic. It was really, really interesting because it's trying to bring you into the head of Walker's character, or Lee Marvin's character Walker, and it does so without any dialogue. It's all just visual stuff. It's all about disorientation and changing spatial things and things that are in the frame and then not in the frame. So you're never sure for a little while, like, what is the dream of his revenge? What motivates his revenge? Like, from a psychological perspective. And I thought he did a really, really great job. It was really engrossing. The whole movie is really engrossing, but just that added extra kind of layer to that character. Because it isn't much of a character if you were to think about it in terms of, like, depth or richness. Like it says, is a singular-minded person, singular purpose. And he's just trying to execute on that. And he's very stoic. He doesn't talk very much. He doesn't like to explain himself. He kind of just repeats the same questions over and over again, no matter who he meets. And so having that kind of character informed also by the visual style of the cinematography and obviously some of the directorial choices was awesome. It was really cool. It shows you what you can do with something simple. Just because something is simple doesn't mean it doesn't need to be. It can't be interesting. Rather, it's and I really loved it for that. Like I said, it was a first time viewing for me. Although, it didn't feel like a first time viewing for me, and the reason is, Brian Helgeland. You got some explaining to do, my friend. So if people don't know, Brian Helgeland wrote and directed Payback. Okay? Payback is almost this movie. Not totally. I mean, Brian Helgeland, had his own troubles with Payback, and it was kind of taken away from him by the producers and Mel Gibson, and they did their own kind of studio cut, and it was a pretty fun movie. And then years later, he got to come back and do his straight up edition and did his director's cut. I have a feeling, though, like I've watched this with commentary like years and years ago. I have a feeling that he probably makes a point to talk about Point Blank because it is structurally very similar. And there's definitely some callbacks to Point Blank. I mean, the operation that Mel Gibson is trying to get his money from is called the Syndicate. It's also called the Syndicate in this. It has the same kind of, it's like if you took organized crime and made it a corporate business. It's got the same kind of vibe, the same kind of feel. Some of the scenes are very much the same. Almost verbatim. I was actually kind of shocked. Payback is definitely more of a populist, modernistic take on this story. And I'm a big fan of it. I still like Payback, I think I actually prefer the theatrical cut, if you can believe it or not. Brian Helgeland's director's cut is probably is closer to Point Blank because it's less fun, right? Point Blank's not like a fun movie. But it's kind of an intense movie to a certain degree, and you're kind of just going on with Walker through his journey for revenge and meeting all these eclectic cast of characters, and kind of as he works his way up through the system, only to realize that he is also part of the system, and he didn't even know it. He's just a fucking used man. The last scene in the movie is just fantastic. And I want to give a shout out also. I'm going to have to look this up live right now. To the cinematography. This movie's got a great look to it. Great use of shadow. It's got because it's definitely in the tradition of kind of the neo-noir kind of tradition, or the noir tradition. Philip H. Lathrop. See what else he's done. He was really great. I thought he did a great job. He did the Pink Panther a couple years before this. That's interesting. Little Girl Lost. Ray's Male Heterosexual Dance Hall. Okay. Deadly Friend. Yeah, I'm not seeing too many other things I'm recognizing, anyways. Doesn't mean they're not good. Oh, he did The Driver. There you go. Yeah, so he brings there's a real groundedness to the look of the movie, but it also has room for stylization. Especially there's a scene where Walker goes to a nightclub and confronts people, and it has like this nightmarish, psychedelic almost thing, and they definitely there's all this symbolism in the movie about kind of a misogyny and control and what that means. Because there's the few female characters in the movie, while they definitely do kind of operate in the damselly kind of paradigm, they're not like empty husk characters. They actually have times to explain how they feel. At the very least, they're afforded that opportunity in a movie that's not really about them. But I think once you see the whole movie, the broader kind of context of everything, you kind of understand that this is about layers of subjugation, not just criminality. That's kind of the surface level thing, but it's about layers of subjugation and being a part of something when you don't even know that you're a part of it, and maybe it's even antithetical to your goals. And there's just it doesn't beat you over the head or anything, but it's definitely there, and it gives it a little richness, little depth. And I appreciated that. I really did. Because, I mean, you've seen 1,000 of these, especially at this point, right? It's funny. I guess the older man, like hero, action hero, I guess that's always been a thing, I was thinking about that, like, relative to, like, Westerns, something like Point Blank. Even, I guess, James Bond, right, to a certain degree, the later James Bond movies. When Connery was a little bit older and Roger Moore got a little bit older. So I guess it's always been a thing because, it became almost a trend where just all old men, older guys in their 50s were just action heroes all of a sudden. And I remember Liam Neeson, Taken. And that lit a match, or that match lit a fuse rather. Metaphors. So it was it's interesting to see the difference though, because Lee Marvin looks like a guy. He looks like a regular dude. Yeah, he's like in good shape and stuff, but he's not like a movie star shape. And that's what's cool about having Lee Marvin kind of be the lead of this movie, because he is not your typical leading man. He isn't, and I don't think he had a ton of leading man roles either. He was always more part of an ensemble, as far as I know. I could be wrong. Hold on. I could be wrong. But he's usually more like a co-lead or part of an ensemble. But he's like in movies that are made for grown-ups. There's a lot of genre stuff in his filmography. And he's great though. He was really great in it. And he's got just one of those, like, he's got a presence that you can't deny. And it was cool to see him as a leading man in this capacity. And you've got the most badass role. I think he must have been in his late 40s when he did this, or early 40s maybe. Early 40s. He actually looks older than that, honestly. He looks. If somebody had told me he was like 50, I probably would have believed them. But I saw that he passed away pretty young. He passed away in 1987, and he was only 63. So that's a bummer, because I bet you Lee Marvin could have. I bet you he could have delivered something real special in his later life. Last movie he made was The Delta Force, the Chuck Norris movie. So how do you like that? Yeah, so this would have put him at, what did I say? What year did this movie come out? 67? Let's do some quick math. 3. What year did he die? 87. I'm embarrassing myself right now. Jesus. Yeah, so he would have been, I guess he would have been like 39, 40. Oh, wow. Wow. Lee Marvin, you lived a life. You got that rough stuff, buddy. By the time you get to Point Blank, you're looking kind of old, but not in a way that's bad. You know, he's still like a handsome man. He's not like decrepit. But it's yeah, so it gives the movie kind of a unique flavor, just his presence itself. And of course, got to mention old Archie Bunker, I guess, right? Yeah. Carol O'Connor. Archie Bunker in this movie, playing a part that I never really seen him play, you know, because I'm obviously mostly familiar with him from All in the Family and stuff. So I was never, I was never a big All in the Family guy, but that character is so stuck in my mind when I see that guy. It's interesting to see him kind of play like just like this weaselly little shit. He's like a guy who's got like power and position, but he's just a gross corporate dude, kind of. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool things like that in this movie. It definitely subverted my expectations about what I was expecting to get from it. And like I said, I think John Boorman is a big reason why that is that way. The guy's awesome. Like I didn't realize how awesome John Boorman was, like I said, until a couple years ago. I realized like, holy shit, like he did all of these really crazy, eclectic, different, weird movies. There's like a 20-year stretch where he's just doing interesting movie after interesting movie. Yeah. It's good stuff. He does comedies, he does action, he does love stories, he does weird science fiction movies like Zardoz and weird Arthurian legend stuff and Excalibur, which I got to talk about Excalibur. Excalibur is one of I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm almost a little hesitant to watch it because I just love my sense memory of it. But I watched that so many times growing up. I'd be very, very curious to see what I think of that movie now. Yeah, so I don't know, Brian Helgeland, you might owe Boorman some money. Just saying. You might want to give him a call and let him know, like, hey man, sorry I stole your script or your movie. Yeah, it's crazy how much Payback is calling back to Point Blank. It's almost like it's just not even homage anymore. It's just straight up rips it off. Interesting. It's interesting. I might have to go revisit Payback. I might have to throw on that Helgeland commentary, see if this man explains himself. He must. They must talk about it. There's no world where that doesn't happen, right? I could be wrong. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. Maybe I'll find out when I get some fucking time. You know, that's the one thing about this, which is, you know, part of the nice thing of doing it is like I watch a movie every day, come in here and talk about it. But it is a time sink. But in a good way. I'm enjoying it. And I hope at least a few of you are enjoying it out there too. You know, all the tens of people that will watch this, I hope you enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. If you would like to hear me talk about anything specific, leave it in the comments. Let me know. And I will definitely get on that. It's always nice to have my choices narrowed. I'm a movie collector. I own so many movies. I got so many different streaming services. Sometimes it's just hard to make up my mind, you know? Although, you know, lately, since I've been doing this, I've been thinking more about, you know, these movies that I need to cross off the list. The movies I've never seen, these seminal pictures. Although, it's also better, though. I think some of these videos are probably better when I'm more familiar with the movie and its production history and stuff. At least I can offer a little bit something out there, because I'm not a professional critic or anything. The limitations of what I say that is interesting is probably pretty low. The bar is probably pretty low. I'm sure, you know, people are like, why is he talking for 19 minutes about fucking Point Blank? Just speaking to himself. Well, guess what, buddy? Missy. That's what I like to do. All right, everybody. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, you want to stay up to date with everything Zoobox, you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on Twitter. That's me, my personal Twitter. If you see us on Instagram or on Facebook, it's either me and my brother or me and my cousin. My cousin and I do the Instagram, basically, and then my brother Dan, and I do the Facebook. So if anything gets posted that upsets you, it's probably Dan. Let's just say it. Let's just throw it out there. It's probably Dan. All right, everybody. You have a good day. You stay safe if you're in any hot areas. And we will talk to you tomorrow with something else. We'll figure it out. We don't know what it's gonna be yet. I got an idea. Something did just drop on Amazon Prime today, so we might be doing that movie. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and be safe out there. All right, bye.